Since the start of the coronavirus pandemic, travel has changed considerably. Many people are remaining at home and not traveling at all. That is not the case for my next guest, who is traveling on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, things have really not changed much for him except for the fact that he needs to wear a mask on the plane. Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking to Paul Brenner. Paul Brenner is an aviation aficionado because he is actually a pilot. This is the first time I'm talking to a pilot during my interviews. Not only is a pilot, but he is a very, very frequent traveler with Delta Airlines, holding Diamond Medallion status. He's actually a million miler on Delta, so you know that he travels a lot each year, and he's been traveling for a long time. Paul is going to talk to us today about his experiences with Delta, how he became a Diamond, where he normally flies to, and we're also going to talk about how things have changed, of course, during COVID-19 and his thoughts on the changes that Delta has made. We'll also talk about some things that he may find interesting about the airline and anything else he wants to talk about. So Paul, welcome to my channel today. How are you?
Well, thanks for having me. It's going to be kind of fun to do this.
Great. I'm glad that you're here. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. So where are you based out of, Paul?
Well, I live in Northeast Pennsylvania. My airport was Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, but Delta kind of left there during the COVID pandemic. So now it's Lehigh Valley or Philadelphia. Hoping to go back to Wilkes-Barre, Scranton because it is convenient for me. Yeah,
that's one of the, what was it, about 10 airports or so, I think around June 8th that Delta scrapped?
Correct. I think it's 16. And 16. we were on the lucky list.
Yeah. Well, I guess because you're kind of close to other airports in that area. I mean, you have a few that are
out there. Well, AVP is 30 miles away. Allentown's 50, and Philadelphia's like 90. So a little closer. More on the coming home because I usually come home late at night, and it's just easier to drive that 25 or 30 miles than 50 miles. When you come home, when you get land at 10:30 in the evening.
Right.
But you do what you have to do.
And where did service from Scranton go to?
Detroit and Atlanta.
And is that the same at Allentown?
Well, no. Right now it's just Detroit, but Atlanta's starting, I think, next week.
Okay.
They're bringing Atlanta back to Allentown. So, because if you go to Detroit, you got to fly on Satan's Chariot, as we all know.
Oh, the
Canadair 200.
Yeah,
is a wreck.
Yes.
Yeah, so they do the 717 to Atlanta, so at least it's a more comfortable aircraft.
Exactly. And is the 717 going away soon too? Do you know?
Yeah, we're talking about it. Yeah. I don't know what it's going to be replaced with. Even the Canadair 900 is fine. That's not a bad airplane, but the 200 is it's a wreck. That's all I could say.
Yeah, I try to avoid the aircraft. Unfortunately, one of the routes that I recently flew very often, that was the only aircraft that was offered. So I was kind of stuck on that airplane.
Well, that's my story now. They're going in right now from Allentown. You got to go to Detroit if you're going to fly on Delta.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So. And then, of course, you can go from wherever you need to go. Where do you normally travel to?
Now it's Las Vegas. This is my most frequent destination. We have a second home out there, so I go back and forth.
Very nice.
But,
so a lot of
that's the leisure part of it,
Yeah. Do you do any business travel too?
Well, there was business in Vegas because of the conventions, but yeah, we have meetings around the country. I'm in 2 different industries. I'm in the scrap recycling industry, and I have a chain of tanning salons. So those conventions and meetings, they're all over the country except for this year. We're nowhere.
Yeah, I too was scheduled to go to a convention in Vegas, and didn't happen. Of course,
even the CES show is canceled in January, and that's the biggest show they have in Vegas.
Yep.
Biggest convention, and that's not going to happen in 21.
Yep, it's a shame. So how did you normally get to your Diamond Medallion status? Within one calendar year, do you normally have to work to get to that goal, or does it just basically come out of obligation? My story is that I actually work to it because it's mostly
I have to work for it. Mostly it's the qualification miles. I don't need it on the tickets on the price of buying I think I need $15,000.
Yeah.
But between flying and I have the reserve card, the American Express reserve card. So between those two things, I think I've been Diamond for about 4 years, maybe.
Okay.
I was platinum for a lot of years, before that. And once you hit the diamond, we were taking an international trip every year for the last 4 years. And again, we took this year off. So that helps a lot, because I'll buy a first class ticket on on international flight. So hopefully in 21, if things get normal, my wife and I'll pick a destination to go visit.
Yeah, it's kind of limited right now for the international options. There's a few things out there, but once you get to the destination, there's really not a lot you can really do. So,
What's the sense of going? Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, our last one was to Okinawa, because my son and daughter-in-law were based there.
Huh?
So we went there last year. So that was a good trip.
And you normally always fly on Delta or a SkyTeam partner?
Yes, Delta. When we went to Israel the year before, part of the trip was on Air France, and I don't know if I could say this or not, but I was on Air France twice on that trip, the first time and the last time, because it was horrible
Really?
service.
Really?
Yeah. Well, maybe it was my fault, Peter, that I didn't realize that intercontinental in Europe, if that's the right term, is really a coach with the middle seat empty. And I bought first class tickets, and I think it could have been part my fault, because I didn't realize that, but not happening anymore in this man's world.
I didn't realize it either. So in November, I took an Air France flight. I was returning to the United States, and it was actually a last minute flight change. I was going from Naples to Minneapolis, and I was supposed to be on an Alitalia flight. Last minute, there was a schedule change, so I switched to an Air France, and I used my upgrade certificates to be in first class. So I get into the airplane, and I don't really see a first class cabin. I'm in row 2. Where is it? There's basically a wall right behind me.
Correct.
They keep the middle seat empty. I think I heard it's called Euro First, basically, which doesn't make much sense to me. Although I think that gives them the opportunity to change the size of the cabin based upon demand.
Well, exactly. That's what they do. But as far as paying for either in miles or in money for a first class ticket, you're not getting it. You're not getting any services. You might as well stay in coach.
I did get food.
Well, they call it food, but okay.
You
have a good imagination.
I actually don't know what happened in row 3, because they have this thick curtain that's kind of blocking the cabin. So I don't know if anybody else back there got the meal service, but I think a Delta first class cabin on a CRJ 900 is a lot better than on the 737 that I was on. Yeah, especially in the single seat and the A seats on the left hand side if you're traveling alone. But it was quite surprise. So how many international trips did you say you do a year?
Well, usually we do one a year. We've been working on that for the last 4 or 5 years. So and then the rest is basically domestic. But, between business and leisure, it kind of adds up. I think I've been, if I'm correct, I've been on 47 flights so far this year. Through the pandemic.
Oh, through the pandemic. So you're still flying.
I'm still flying.
You're still flying. Look at you.
Well, I'm sitting in the airplane. I'm not really flying, but somebody else is doing that.
So has anything changed for you? I guess your business travel is probably lower, at a reduced level, but it sounds like you're still flying what you normally would do on a leisure level.
I am. I mean, because we have a couple of grandchildren, and we want to go see them, and we have, and going out to Las Vegas, and that's basically, I think that's about all I've been to is Vegas and to see the grandkids in California and Texas. Oh, we went to Savannah. We had a wedding in Savannah. My son got married. So there's some place to go. I'm not driving.
Yeah, no, that's a long trip, and you get of course the MQMs for trips like that. So one question I've been asking a lot of people, and your response is probably going to be a little bit different, is how do you feel about the extension of status? So my personal response is, I'm not hesitant to fly, but I'm hesitant about some of the destinations which I wish to go to. So I'm extremely grateful for the fact that Delta extended status into next year. What's my personal thought about the following year? Because COVID's still going to be around. I don't think I'm going to be traveling as much. I'd love to maintain diamond status. I think that it should be extended, or the qualification levels should be lowered to a certain point that are more attainable. For example, each year I take an international flight just to add on the miles. It's really hard to do this year. What are your thoughts on what Delta did so far, and what about for the following year for status?
Well, I think what they did so far was very fair and really should keep the Delta flyers as Delta flyers. The way I understand it, so our status from 20 is automatically carried over to 21.
Correct.
But the miles, the MQM still roll over.
Yeah, the MQMs.
So basically,
yeah.
They're going to roll over to 22. So you should, I'm feeling that I should be fine at least for 22 as well.
That's true. So if
because I'm going to add on to my 20. I'm going to add on to my in 21. I'm going to add on to my miles when I already have enough for Diamond on the MQMs. I'm just going to make that a higher number. The thing that's interesting to me, which I was really when they did it 2 years ago, I was not a happy camper. Was the spend on the reserve card was $25,000 for any class. It didn't matter, and then they made it $250,000.
Which is unattainable. Yeah.
Well, I through my business, I've been able to do it.
Okay.
This year I'm probably I have it this year, and I'll have it for next year. But it's tough to get there now. If they would either roll over those dollars for next year, that would be a wonderful thing, or cut that back a little bit. I mean, they went from 25,000 to 250,000 with no stops in between, and I thought that was a bit much to do a 10-time multiple.
Yeah.
So I'm not happy with that part of it.
Yeah, no, I usually wind up going by the just the regular spend for the MQDs, not on the credit card. And I actually have purchased a higher fare a couple of times just to get to the 15,000 level for status at the end of the year. Just, maybe it's an additional first class ticket, which I don't really want to pay for, but just to get the next level. But it pays off because of the upgrades that I get. I can't remember in the last 3 years, the last time I was on a CRJ 900 where I didn't get upgraded. So,
on the 900, yeah.
I don't always get them hub to hub. I'm in New York City, and I'll often do flights to other hubs like Minneapolis, and I don't always get the upgrades there. But on connecting flights in a smaller aircraft, I do. So let's talk a little bit more about flying during the pandemic. I took one flight. I was satisfied with it. I thought Delta did a fantastic job, and I'm sure you'll agree with me also, but it's more the destination. So what are your thoughts about flying during the pandemic and any changes that Delta has made throughout the processes?
Well, I mean, the middle seat empty, of course, is a wonderful thing for comfort. I mean, really, listen, they're trying to tell you about the 6 feet. To telling you about the 6 feet, but really, let's be serious. That seat isn't 6 feet in between, but the concept is fine. The thing I don't understand is the little bag, the baggie they give you, because if and now in first class they'll offer you a beer or a can of beer or a bottle of wine, but not a can of soda.
Yeah, I had the snack box on my flight. Now, I'll be totally honest with you. I didn't eat it. Why? Was I hungry? Yeah. But I did not like the fact that the person across the way was also eating at the same time with the mask off. So I just saved it for later. Something about the fact that meal service is conducted all at once. So and this applies to all the airlines, if they're asking you to wear your masks throughout the entire time of the flight, the entire duration of the flight, except for the time when you're allowed to move your mask to eat, except for the time when you're allowed to eat. If you're serving meals all at the same time, then everyone, if they decide to eat as the food is served to them, has their masks off at the same time, which is kind of unsettling for me. So I thought, and I don't even know if this is feasible, my ideal way to serve meals on an airplane would be to stagger individual users. So you go to 1A, then you go to 5F, and then you go to 10D or something like that. That would take forever, of course.
Right.
It's not that feasible. I just don't really want to eat during those periods. So of course I'll eat a little bit before, go to the Sky Club and see what I can get for free.
They're getting a little better the last couple of months. Sky Club
how's that been? Yeah.
It's still individual type stuff, but it's definitely getting better.
Mm-hmm. Are they serving
ugly before
in the airports you've been to?
No. I mean, other than that box of soup, I don't know, ramen, whatever they got, which I don't eat, but it's just a better selection over the last 2 months, and I think after the first of the year, I think everything's going to get better. I'm thinking on the plane and in the Sky Clubs.
Yeah, I think so. I think also after, I think it's January 8th or so, Delta is saying that they are going to start selling the middle seat once again too.
Are they? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fine.
So,
I mean, they got to make money too,
yeah, of course, it is a business, and if everyone is masked, but there may be some other changes at that point too. So, I really enjoyed the new boarding process of boarding from rear forward. So, my story is that I've always been the gate lice guy. I want to be the first one as a diamond. I want to be the first, even if I don't get the upgrade. I want to be the first one on the airplane, and I want to be able to be in an empty airplane and just take it all in. And it's just exciting for me, basically. So, and I'm always thinking, are they going to have any special people boarding before me? Which is absolutely fine. But if they don't, I'm the first one on the airplane, and it actually feels like a reward to me. I've always loved it. Then, of course, I get to my seat, and I sit there for 30 minutes, and I look at everybody else going into the airplane, which is a little strange because, well, why am I just sitting here? There's really no purpose. So during this change, when they started boarding from the rear to the forward part of the airplane, of course, they allow you to board by rows now, rear rows first, but they made an announcement that diamonds and first class can board at any time during the boarding process. So I thought to myself, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to be able to sit. I don't want to be sitting there and then have people pass by, even though they are masked, wearing masks. So I said to myself, well, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Now, there were some people that did board during first class. I'll be honest with you. I waited to be the very last person on the airplane, just moments before the door was actually closed. I looked around the gate area. All right, there's nobody here. I'm going in right now. And so I did that really for safety reasons, just because I didn't want, and I deliberately booked myself in the first row of the airplane because I didn't want to pass by anybody. I was also the first one out. But I thought to myself, you know what? I actually really like this. I felt almost like a VIP. I felt important because the fact where I got to go to the airplane, sit down, and there was no waiting for 30 minutes. The door was closed and we were on our way. And I'm thinking, in my mind, I actually really like the idea that you board from the rear forward, and first class should always board last, because why sit there for 30 minutes? What are your thoughts on that process?
Well, it's, what do they call it? The pre-departure drink when things are normal. If you want a cocktail, while they're boarding. Personally, I like to get on. I'm not the first guy, but I like to get on fairly early, mostly for the overhead space, which hasn't really been a problem. Especially with the middle seats empty. During the pandemic, it's really not a problem. Just force a habit. But I'll settle in and I'll start watching a movie or whatever. But I'm not afraid. I know we have differing opinions and we're each entitled to our own. But the pandemic hasn't scared me. I'm not afraid of it, and so I'm leading. I tell everybody, I've been telling them, wash your hands and live your life, and that's basically what I've been doing. So I really haven't changed, unless I was forced to change via like wearing a mask. Or
you have to do that, right?
Which you have. But I can tell you the funniest story. And it just happened to be about a month ago, getting on a plane on Satan's Chariot in Detroit, going to Allentown, and I'm sitting in the first row. That's Delta Comfort. Really comfortable up there. And some woman gets on the plane and asks the flight attendant where row 9 is. And the flight attendant's like staring at me, and she says, well, it's right back there past 8,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And I said to the flight attendant after, how did you tell her that without laughing? And she looked at me and said, how do you know I wasn't? Because she had her mask on. I said, touche, you win.
Exactly. Yeah, I actually, I did tell the flight attendant, I'm smiling right back at you, just can't see with the mask on. So it is awkward, absolutely.
Oh, isn't it? Yeah.
But, you have to do what you have to do, of course. And it's probably going to be around for a while. And I was just listening to a podcast yesterday where, it's probably going to be the case where even if after it's required, you're still going to see many people just keeping the mask on. It's been very, very commonplace in Asian countries. People have just been wearing masks for years.
Forever. Forever,
yeah. And I think the reasons for the mask wearing may have been quite different. I thought it was more for pollution in the air than anything else, not so much for airborne germs or viruses.
In China, I think it is, because it's the air quality is just horrible.
Yeah.
So I think there it is. But pretty soon we'll all be probably carrying umbrellas with us for the sun.
Yeah, exactly. That's the next thing. So So things have changed. Is there anything else that, has changed with the airline that really hasn't affected you at all in any way? Where you just keep going with the flow, or?
Yeah.
So
Basically,
are
I am
you
going with the
boarding?
flow.
Are you boarding during the diamond time?
Yeah,
Once
yes, I board. Like I said, some people are there first. I don't hang out to be the first guy in a plane, but as soon as some people go on after the military, and the folks that need a little assistance and stuff, I'm in the first couple of people in. I get settled in.
And I noticed on one flight that I did take during the pandemic, they were only inviting diamonds in first class to go first. The other flight I took, a connecting flight that I took, it was all medallion members. I thought it was supposed to only be first class. Not that it makes any difference at all, but have you heard that?
I've only heard diamond and first class are because everybody's a medallion, and well, just about everybody is silver, gold, platinum. So that could have maybe been a mistake by the gate agent or something.
Yeah. So the first flight was just that. The other was all diamond, all medallion members from silver up and down.
That should be the whole airplane.
Yeah, right.
Most of the airplane.
And it was not on a very popular route though. And another flight that I took, the gate agent actually called people up by the different level of status. So she started off with diamonds, then she went down to platinum, then gold and silver, which I had never heard of. And then she did regular boarding. Although it may have been you can board during any time. Yeah, you can also board during any time, but she didn't mention the different groups on top of that. So
I was on 2 flights that really kind of aggravated me. When we deplaned, the flight attendants were really into the 6-foot thing, which was really silly. And they said, don't get up out of your seat until the guy in front of you gets his stuff out of the overhead.
Yeah, that's the
general. She was at, well, they say it on a lot of the flights.
Yeah.
This particular flight attendant was actually like a traffic cop,
mm-hmm.
And like standing in the aisle and not letting you go until, well, I had a tight connection. And I said, ma'am, I got to leave. I said, this doesn't work for me. I got to go. And I said, this is stupid. I mean, really, this is somebody that read the book and took it literally instead of, using your head a little bit. Because, 6 feet in an airplane, they're not that big. It'll take you forever to get off.
Yeah. Yeah, for the most part of it, most people I think have been adhering to it. I can't comment on it because I was in row 1, so I didn't look back.
Yeah, exactly.
So I literally did not turn my head, just and in my opinion, of course, is very different than yours. I didn't really want to be face to face with anybody on the airplane, so I kind of just got up out of my seat, stood there, and I saw the door open and kind of just went and socially distanced myself from the gate agent who was going to open up the door at the actual entranceway to the terminal itself. But for the most part, the social distancing in an airport is really not a problem since there's so few people there. There's all these markers all over the ground. I landed at LaGuardia and I did check a bag. And this is an A321, there were 3 people at baggage claim. And there's like 30 different markers on the ground, to stay apart from others. So obviously didn't really need it.
No, I was at LAX and they had, in the Delta area, and they had one bar restaurant area completely roped off and closed that you couldn't sit there. And they had a second one. Mm-hmm. So everybody was crammed into the second one.
Well, that doesn't make
any sense. I'm thinking to myself, okay, who's the genius that figured this one out?
Yeah.
Because there was no social distancing because they had one closed.
Yeah, it may be better to just have more restaurants open. I mean, you walk through the terminal and everything is closed and you have one open and there's tons of people in there. So, it's good for social distancing and of course it's good for business too. It seems like those people were looking to get some food. So if you keep some of the restaurants open, you'll have more opportunity to spread things apart and of course keep the jobs and, keep the revenue going for the different vendors in the airport. So instead of, running over to Dunkin' Donuts and grabbing a donut because there's no one standing there. So yeah. What else have you seen? Any unique changes? I mean, since you're traveling so much that you may or may not agree with during the experience.
No, not really. I mean, everybody's doing the best they can do, given the circumstances, and that's really it. We're going to get through this thing. It's going to get back to normal at some point. It always does. So
absolutely. It will take some time, but it will go away. There's a lot of innovations that are coming, so we'll see how those go to try to put an end to all this, because I absolutely want to get back to my travel, which was almost every other week, as well as some business travel on top of that. and it's just a whole different world that we're living in right now.
Sure.
Before I let you go, do you have any interesting stories about any particular aircraft that you like to fly on? As I know you don't like to fly, and of course no one likes to fly on this interview Twitter. What's your favorite airplane to fly on, or some routes that you really enjoy?
Well, the routes are, they really don't matter. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
go to Atlanta before Detroit, just because of the plane. But I mean, I did a couple of flights. Well, you can't do them anymore on the 47, on the 7-4. That was always fun.
That's
Up on
awesome.
the up on the top. I've never been in the Dreamliner yet. I'm kind of curious to do one of those. Of
Yeah.
course, 777s. We did those overseas, and they're gone on
Yeah, their
Delta.
last flight was
So
just this month.
last week. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the one thing I can tell you, as far as a destination, and it's really, it has been a destination where, but I use it more as a connecting airport, is Salt Lake City. The new Delta terminal in Salt Lake that they just opened a month or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely gorgeous.
So you've been to the new one?
Yeah, I've been to the new. I was there about a month ago.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and the Sky Club is gorgeous, and the whole terminal is it's wonderful.
Is it completely done? I connected there about a year and a half ago, and it didn't seem like there was much construction going on at that point. All the terminals were functional. I kind of just walked around the airport, and everything just kind of looks the same. I saw some construction in the distance. Is it 100% done at this point?
Yeah, I mean, there were some stores that were still going to open.
Really?
Now, I have a friend who lives in Salt Lake, and I was talking to him, and he said, I told him how nice it was, but he said the thing they didn't do, which doesn't affect me, is the ingress and egress out of the airport area.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't make the roads any bigger or any nicer. He said, so it's a traffic jam.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially it will be a bigger one when more people start flying. But the terminal itself is really, I would suggest, try to connect in Salt Lake just to go see it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to put on my list. Most of the time, I don't have the reason to really go through there, but I think I will go out of my way, especially if I'm going to the West Coast to get through SLC. And I hear they have a fantastic Sky Club too.
Oh yeah, the Sky Club is gorgeous. Yeah, it's really nice. And when they get to full service after this, it'll be even nicer, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, because it's a new Sky Club, do they have anything additional that an older Sky Club would not have at this point, or is it pretty much all the same?
It's really hard to tell because of the constraints of the pandemic. If they do, they're not showing it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's where we are now.
Yeah. Were you going to Vegas when you were connecting through Salt Lake?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I forgot. I think I was either going or coming home. One of those two, but I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely an airport. And in New York City, I'm based out of LaGuardia Airport, going through the same exact thing too. We've already got a couple of concourses up for the new terminals. Delta actually has one fully functional concourse. So a lot of changes, and the pandemic is allowing things to actually speed up. So in some ways,
less traffic. Yeah.
There's less traffic. Exactly. Yeah. There's less traffic, less people. And, New York City is really not anywhere near it was in the past. And I know a lot of other airports have really picked up. Atlanta's is quite busy, but New York City, there's still a lot of empty gates. They have the opportunity to go ahead and do all the work so that people can get the final result much sooner than anticipated. So.
Yeah, Detroit's opening up a little bit more each time I'm there, but there's still a lot of empty stuff going on there in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Paul. Well, it's great to hear that you are actually still traveling during the pandemic. It's people like you that are keeping the airline industry alive. So, I think it's fantastic that you're able to continue doing that on a regular basis. There, what is it? Maybe, I don't know, 80% of people are just not traveling these days at all. So,
there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of people that aren't. Listen, we're only here on borrowed time, so I'm not going to sit around and do nothing.
Exactly. Yep. That's a very good way to look at that. So, yep.
Yeah.
The airlines, I'm sure, are very happy too. Very, very grateful for that. Great. Well, I'm really glad that we're able to have this conversation because it kind of, it's a bit of a contrast from what I'm used to, or how I operate on my normal travel schedule. I've kind of just cut things out a lot, which is why I'm, looking to talk to more people and find out what their experiences are like. And, it's quite interesting that Delta actually got rid of your city too. It was temporarily, hopefully. So
I hope temporarily. Yeah. They're saying temporarily, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But I hope they come back.
Yep, I think things are going to improve. So I think they'll have that opportunity. Just it's tough times right now. So it is what it is. So
it is.
Right.
We're not going to change it.
Yep. Well, thank you very much.
For me?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I said anything else because it's been kind of fun. So
Yeah, no, this is great. Yeah,
I
I
can
really
answer any
enjoyed
other
our
questions.
conversation. Yep, thank you. No, you've answered everything. I really appreciate your time. It was, the different point of views from different travelers, and as most of my viewers can see, I'm trying to talk to different people from different aspects, from people who really don't travel that much to people who are diamond medallions and travel very, very, very frequently. So it's great to have the diversity in the audience, of course. So for those of you that are watching, thank you very much for watching the channel. If you have any questions, please leave your questions in the comment section below. And if you'd like to be featured in any of these videos, of course, leave a comment. I'm always looking for a very diverse group of people to talk to, especially about airlines and the state of the industry and what people are doing at the current time. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the channel and hit the little bell button so that you're alerted as to every time that I post a new video. Paul, thank you very much for your time today.
Nice to meet you. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.